This is the first of 3 webinars that we'll be doing over the course of the coming weeks. So think about this as the kind of the Phantom Menace of webinars on helping you plan for your upcoming academic year. The next session will be on reading list rollover, and then we'll want to look at TADC rollover as well. But we're starting off with the webinar on reviewing and updating your hierarchy, because we are increasingly hearing when we're chatting to folks in our customer success calls of significant restructures that have structural and organisational implications for libraries, and that is necessitating updates of the hierarchy. We want to make sure that as you go through the hierarchy update process, that you get the support that you need. Think of this very much as a kind of a kickoff for talking about your hierarchy. If there's anything that we can help you with as you go through this process, we will always be happy to help you. But hopefully this will serve as a useful kind of overview of the process and a good kind of starting point for that. So what we'll be talking about today, just to give you a rough outline of the session, we'll focus first of all on what the hierarchy actually is and what it does. We'll provide you with some quick examples of what hierarchy might look like, just to help you visualize it. We will talk about reviewing your hierarchy and how to go about doing that within Talis Aspire. Then we'll chat a little bit about hierarchy updates, so manual and bulk updates. Manual we will chat about for making sort of targeted updates, and bulk will let you update the entire tenancy if you want to. And then we will chat a little bit at the end about copyright clearance and how to do rollover, how to update the hierarchy in that. So, without further ado, what does the hierarchy actually do? Well, the simple answer to that is that it does many things. Essentially, it provides a structure for your lists and helps to facilitate internal processes. And here's a quick graph to sort of visualize some of those. So in terms of student entitlements, you can use the hierarchy to populate the My Lists area for students with the lists that those students are enrolled in. This would require a bit of work on your end with your IDP, but it's something that you can facilitate with the hierarchy. It can help when requesting digitizations. Having a list linked to a hierarchy node will auto-populate the course details in the digitization request form, reducing the chances of human error. It can help you with reporting so that you can see which schools or departments or faculties are using Talis Aspire well, who've got loads of lists associated, and also where it might be useful to target more engagement to increase uptake. It's important for LTI integrations to make sure that courses are linked to the right lists. Courses in the VLE are linked to the right lists via LTI. It allows you to tightly control how academics can interact with your lists, and it aids in the discoverability of lists via the search function within Aspire. So the hierarchy has implications for all of these. And in terms of what we're talking about when we visualize hierarchy, when we mention nodes, this is what we're talking about. You can see here that at the top we have the institution nodes. So that will be your University of Broadminster or University of wherever your university is there. Then that will be split into the separate faculties, and then each faculty will have, for example, modules or courses associated with it, and then those will be broken down into individual units. There's no reason that it has to follow this structure. It might be that subdividing by faculty is not necessarily the way that you want to do things. It might be that modules don't come directly off of faculty. You're able to customize that. There are a number of different node types that you can use, but this is just to give you an idea of what it looks like whenever we talk about the hierarchy. So we'll move on now to talk about how to review your hierarchy within Talis Aspire. And there are a couple of ways to do this. Now, for some institutions, you will be able to view the management information dashboard. This is a visual representation of those nodes that we've already seen. You can see in this example here, we have Broadminster University, which is our demo university that we use. You can see that it has a number of nodes associated with it, and that none of those nodes are sitting orphaned off to the side. They are connected to the institution node, and they have connecting nodes themselves. And the size of each node is relative to the number of child nodes associated with it. And then underneath that, that dynamic and sort of interactive visualization of what the hierarchy looks like, you'll see a kind of brief summary of the total number of lists associated with those different nodes, the draft lists associated, the published lists, and coverage. So that is not necessarily available to everyone. It's also, I should mention at this point, that changes to your hierarchy that you make will not necessarily be immediately updated or immediately reflected within that interactive graph there. The data import happens once a week. I believe it's on a Sunday evening, which means that any changes that you make will be reflected in that view come the next Monday morning. Something that everyone will have access to is the hierarchy snapshot report. So whereas the management information dashboard is a fixed view, the hierarchy snapshot is a wee bit more flexible. It displays every hierarchy node in your tenancy, and it allows you to export your current hierarchy to CSV as well. So that can be useful if you're looking to compare something with the new nodes you're considering adding to the hierarchy. You can filter this report by code, by node type, by name, by parent code, or by linked lists. And at a glance, this also gives you the parent association information, so you can see how many published and drafts lists are associated with each node. And again, just to stress, in this instance, the data is real time. So as soon as you make changes to your hierarchy, those are going to be reflected in the data that's available to you through the hierarchy snapshot report. So if you get any questions so far, please do pop them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will make sure to get to those, unless there are any so far. If David wants to interrupt me and let me know there are any questions, but if not,
nothing so far, Matthew.
No worries at all. Let's chat then about updating your hierarchy. Now, I mentioned that there are two different ways to do this. The first is the manual update. That's most useful when you have a small number of nodes to add or update. It's very targeted and will allow you to add one at a time. The bulk update is useful if you are updating a lot of data. For example, if you want to update student numbers across the institution, if you want to add a whole host of nodes or change those nodes' parent association. We'll start off by looking at manual hierarchy updates. So to make manual updates to the hierarchy, you will need the edit nodes permission. Now, generally, this permission is assigned to the system admin or node editor roles. The node editor role, though, is frequently repurposed. So if you are wondering whether there are any other permissions associated with that role at your institution, do go to the roles and invites section of your settings and review that. That'll let you know which permissions are already associated with that. But anyone who you want to be able to make those manual edits to or manual updates to the hierarchy will need that edit node permission. And with that permission, you can edit the node name, the node type, and there is as I've already mentioned, there's a specific list of node types that you will have to choose from. It's things like course, module, field, school, that sort of thing. You'll be able to update student numbers, and you will also be able to update where that node sits in the hierarchy, and you'll do that by amending the parent node attached. So I have a very quick video here that kind of shows you what that process looks like now. I always get a little bit nervous when it comes to playing videos during presentations because it's slightly hit and miss whether or not it works, but hopefully there we go. So you can see here, I'm on a node, I go to edit node. That's my drop-down list of different available node types that are there that I can choose from. So I can edit that. I can change the name. I can update it to a new code. Goodness, I type slowly, don't I? And then I can update the student numbers as well. Dead easy. But you can see that obviously is a very, as the name suggests, very manual process, quite time consuming if you're going to do that over and over again. So if you're updating a bunch of different nodes, you'll probably want to do that via the bulk hierarchy update function. Now you can use this bulk hierarchy update to add new nodes with new codes. You can update existing nodes. You can update the details, the codes, the title, the type of node. You can delete nodes via this method as well, and you can merge modules too. Something that just to be very clear about, whenever we're talking about deleting nodes, if you have lists associated with that node and you delete it, you don't lose those lists. Those lists don't get deleted. What will happen is they end up kind of orphaned from the hierarchy. They'll sort of be floating in the ether, waiting to be attached to another node. But the lists themselves don't get deleted, only the node. That's something important to bear in mind. You can also add student number information as well via hierarchy updates, but the figure is overwritten in the review screen if the list attached to it has been given student numbers as well. That can be a totally confusing distinction between the student numbers on the hierarchy node and the student numbers on the list. So if you're ever in any doubt about how one pertains to the other, you can send us a message to support@talis.com. We'll be very happy to talk further about that. Now, I am indebted to my inimitable colleague David for this slide. He was very insistent that I make sure everybody know that this was his work. This is the hierarchy in one slide. This is basically everything you're ever going to need to know about using the bulk hierarchy update. So we have a template that should be available via our support site. And in that template, to update the hierarchy, certain columns have to be present. And that's the old code, the new code, the node type, and the node name. We need to have all 4 of those fields if we're going to do the hierarchy upload. You can then add additional fields, so things like parents, student numbers. There are a couple of others that you can pop in there as well. You should create and upload a separate file for every level of the hierarchy, and you should work from the top down. The reason we say to work from the top down is that to link one node to another, the node you're connecting to via that parents field has to exist already. You can't link it to a node that doesn't yet exist. So it makes sense to move from the top down as you do that. Now, you're probably not going to hit the limit of 15,000 lines per file. Never say never, but you probably won't hit that, but do be aware that there is a limit in place here. So this image down at the bottom, that's when I say that this is everything that you need to know about the bulk hierarchy update. This is what I mean, this image here. So you can see we've got 5 rows. We have our column titles in the first row there. In the second row down, we have nothing in the old code section. We have ABC 101 as our new code. We have module as the node type, and we have the name of the module as well as the parent code. So this row here is going to add the new module. There is no old code. There is a new code, so we know that we're adding a new module there. And again, we're adding that node, not a list. In row 3, we have ABC 102 in the old code field. We have nothing in the new code field. Again, module from the node type and the course name. This row is going to delete that node from the hierarchy because it's got an old code. We're saying that the new code shouldn't be there, so it's going to delete it. Row 4, we've got ABC 103 as the old code, ABC 200 as the new code. That's going to update the module code when you put it through. We're saying currently the old code is one thing, we want it to be another. That's what that's going to do. And then in row 5, you have ABC 104 for both the old and new code, so that's not changing. Nothing changes there. Neither does the node type, but it might be that we're updating the name, the parent code, or the student numbers associated with that node as well. So that is pretty much all you really need to know. That tells you how the update process goes. What I would recommend is that if you know that you have an upcoming bulk hierarchy update that you want to do, take a screenshot of this just now. If you don't happen to get a screenshot of it, we'll be happy to send it out to you. But this is something that's useful to have on your desktop as you navigate this, something that you can refer back to see how the process works. There's a really nice, simple way of visualizing what that process is gonna look like. Now I've put it's all you really need to know, sort of, because naturally some things can get a wee bit more complicated than they look at first glance, but really this is going to be a handy reference point to come back to as you're doing hierarchy uploads. So in terms of what the full process looks like, let's just run through that quickly. Step 1, sorry, that should be going bit by bit, but it doesn't seem to. There we go. Okay, it's just spoiled the ending, but that's fine. We'll cope. Let's look at the process we'll go through for that. So step 1, you're going to prepare your files based on the information that we've just covered in the last slide. Remember, we'll need the old code, the new code, the node type, and the name. Those are the mandatory fields. You'll want to upload the file. To do that, you go up to admin, you select hierarchy upload, and then you upload your file. If the upload is successful, your changes are not going to be applied immediately. What's going to happen is a dry run job is going to be initiated, and you will then be emailed once it's completed to review the results. Once that dry run is completed and you've received your results, look at the exception report, and that will give you details on whether or not there have been any failures that you need to correct. Basically, what it will do is it will tell you, you know, that these are the issues that you have to resolve before we can make this hierarchy update. The idea being that we want to give you peace of mind before you actually click to initiate the hierarchy update, that it's not going to cause you any problems. So once you review your results to see if there have been failures, if you have, rinse and repeat, prepare the file again, upload the file again, do the dry run again, and then if there are failures, look at the exception report. If you do that and there are no failures though, we'll move on to the next step, which is to initiate the hierarchy update. I would just say at this point that this obviously, hopefully, seems pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Please note that if you're seeing failures, but you know, you need some support in terms of how to correct those, we are more than happy to help you. It's really useful if you, when you send us that email, if you copy and paste or attach the exception report into your ticket, because we can't see it for you. We can't go in and view that on your behalf. So if that is something that you want us to take a look at, please do copy and paste that into the ticket. And don't feel bad if you've... Sorry, David.
I was just going to say there's a question, but finish your point.
Oh, no worries at all. I was just going to say as well, don't feel bad if you're struggling, because I have tried to do this a few times and had failures. So if you're struggling with it, do just let us know. We'll be more than happy to help. Sorry, David, on you go.
It's all right. There's a question which I'm happy to answer as well, from Amjad. It says, is there any potential of automating the hierarchy load rather than having to do it as a manual process? And I wanted to sort of answer this now while we're still in this sort of part of the webinar. So the answer to that, Amjad, is that it's not planned at this time to bring in an automated hierarchy upload. It is something we've looked at in the past because we're well aware that it would be a useful feature for you all, and we may revisit it in the future. But to sort of summarize it quickly, the number of different systems that all of you universities are using to identify course details and the different outputs that they all provide mean that building a sort of one-size-fits-all solution isn't quite as straightforward as it sounds. So I certainly acknowledge that it would be useful, but the honest answer is it's not planned at this time.
Thanks, David. And yeah, do please keep questions coming in as we go. So just to go through that again, step by step, we're creating the file. The presence of the data that's in those columns is going to determine the action that's taken. Again, thinking back to that hierarchy in one slide. Again, separate files for each level of the hierarchy, and we're working from the top down. Having old codes that existing in the hierarchy isn't going to cause you any issues. It's not going to be something that you need to worry about. And something as well that I should emphasize is that if a node doesn't appear in the upload that you're doing, that's not going to basically that node in the hierarchy is not going to be affected. So if you've not put it in that file that you're uploading, it's not going to be affected. Next step, you're going to upload the file, you're going to validate the file contents, and you're going to initiate the dry run. That job is going to complete. You'll review that job. Possible statuses are requested, failed, in progress, or complete success. You'll see actually there it says complete with 20 failures. So the wording might vary, but that is essentially the kind of statuses that you will get. You'll get an email notification once that's done as well. Then you're going to want to check the audit and the exception report that is provided for you, because that'll give you an idea of exactly what has failed. And then you'll see there at the top what a success will look like as well. Once you've got that success, all you have to do is click on this hamburger menu at the side here and initiate the hierarchy update, and that will start. So as well as the hierarchy in one slide, this might be another one that's useful to take a screenshot of because it just walks you through that entire process. If you get to that point where you're not getting any failures and you're confident in the hierarchy upload file that you've got, then it's time to initiate your update. Okay. Now, hopefully everything so far has seemed relatively straightforward and has made sense. If, however, you are looking for even more support during the hierarchy update process, if you're looking for that kind of additional reassurance, our consulting team are very happy always to explore options with you. Now, this might be particularly appropriate if you have a really sort of substantial or large scale hierarchy update happening, if it's a complete top to bottom change. If you have had individuals in the library who have handled the hierarchy update for you before, who've now moved on to other roles, it might be something that you need extra support with. If you've got a really tight deadline for turning it around, or if you just want to take a light touch, stress-free approach, you don't want to have to deal with it, but you know it needs done, that might be something that our consultant team can help you with. Consultant does come with an additional cost, but if you'd like to know more, you can get in touch at support@talis.com. We'll be more than happy to chat it through with you and let you know exactly what it would involve. So do send us a message if that is something that would be of interest to you. I can hear my very badly behaved cat has come in behind me and is now messing about with his water fountain. So if I have to dart off at any point, he's upended it and there's water everywhere. Last thing I'm going to talk about is copyright clearance and how that pertains to the hierarchy. So something that's important for me to emphasize is that updating the hierarchy in reading lists is not going to update the code in TACC or in copyright clearance. The hierarchy doesn't exist in copyright clearance in the same way, but course codes and course details do. So let's say, for example, that you have a module with a code ABC1 and you raise a scan request against it. Later, that module code becomes ABC2 as part of a restructure, and now the ABC1 course code remains attached to the scan request, whereas the reading list code has changed. When you roll it over next year, it won't automatically become ABC2. It'll still stay fixed and pointing to the old code. So there's just some details in here about how you can rectify that. You'll want to go to report by courses, and you'll be able to get a view of the course codes and the associated information. You can filter that down if need be by date ranges, by codes, by request status, and you can update course information in that way. And that's just to give you an idea of what that'll look like. So once you've found your course, you can choose that hamburger menu over by the side to make amendments. So coming in just under half an hour, it's not bad going to go through the hierarchy from top to bottom. Hopefully that all made sense. Hopefully that was pretty logical and not too intimidating. We are more than happy to take any and all questions. We have plenty of time for questions. If you don't have any, then well, thank you very much for coming, and hope that was beneficial. But yeah, David, do we have any questions at the moment in the Q&A?